What is the price of ascension?
Curse of the Dead Gods is a comprehensive action game that might have been overlooked amongst the genre it is in. Despite being a small French studio which started from one person and has grown to 12 within the past decade, Passtech Games has proven that a quality game doesn't necessarily have to depend on a big budget. Curse of the Dead Gods tells the story of Caradog McAllister, a young British explorer in the 19th century. His chase for wealth, immortality and power leads him to an accursed temple that, needless to say, is crowded with traps, ambushes, monsters and even gods. McAllister will have to navigate his way through 3 dungeons, each with a different environment and a boss guarding the destination. The higher the level means the higher the risk and challenges. Curse of the Dead Gods has roguelike gameplay with some of the RPG elements. The isometric POV is enhanced with dynamic lighting that influences gameplay. For example, players will take more damage when in a dark environment, in addition to difficult visibility. Players are free to choose their route while exploring the dungeon. This allows the personalisation of your equipment, whether finding a weapon or building relic attributes that fit your playstyle. Since each route has a different item to collect, the levels are procedurally generated, so every run is different. Once you clear a path or die, you start the next run from scratch. The character's attribute is divided into 3 branches: Constitution, Dexterity, and Perception. There is no experience point. Players will have to exchange gold or perform a blood sacrifice at the altar to gain more attributes, which will increase the corruption gauge. Over 10 kinds of weapons are available, including melee and range. Each has its perk, and the higher the class, the more perks that weapon has. Players can equip them as the main weapon, secondary weapon, or two-handed weapon. The curse is one of the features that enhances the overall experience. Players will accumulate this over time through circumstances such as a blood sacrifice or being attacked by the enemy's dark power. Once the gauge is filled, the curse will be activated, causing troubles like limiting a light source and losing gold when being attacked. The curse is not always about undermining the player just to make the game harder. It can also have a favourable effect, such as reducing injuries or damage taken. All in all, the curse is a constraint that will influence players to adjust to their circumstances. Passtech Games uses a cel-shaded art style, which is beautiful and fits the rough and tough ambience nicely. The game involves 3 dimly lit dungeons: Tyatanwick, a pyramid-inspired dungeon, an ancient temple, Hookerwick, and Chukwick, which has a hint of ancient Mayan and Aztec civilization. The story, although not the strongest element of the game, is presented using cutscenes that only appear at the beginning and the end of the game. The music is soft, but it makes the dimly lit dungeon even eerier and more nerve-wracking. The beats are faster when players encounter an enemy. And naturally, the music is even more exciting during boss fights. There is no voice acting. Considering that McAllister is all on his lonesome adventure, who is he going to talk to, right? Curse of the Dead Gods brings bits and pieces from other games and weaves them together. For example, the idea that enemies are more aggressive in the dark might remind you of Dying Light. The curse and corruption gauge is also similar to the mutation mechanic of Fallout. With all these complex mechanics, players will have to adapt and be smart with their gameplay, instead of just being full-on aggressive like typical action games. And this is PlayPrime stats that show you this game's characteristics. For Curse of the Dead Gods, it focuses on a silky performance even during big combat. The game is also highly replayable, as the procedural generation will make every playthrough fresh and new. And for this game, the reviewer recommends you to get less talk, more action. Subscribe to PlayPrime for more reviews, and follow us on social media. Thanks for watching.